Hi there, Janet Fritz here for Galaxy Girl Creations. Welcome to my channel. Welcome to another day of 31 days of Cutfiles. Today we are using a geotag cut file. It's 3 geotags together. It's a little bit hard to see because it's kind of off to the side of my screen and in a baggie, so there's a lot of glare on it, but you'll see it here shortly. In the meantime, I am using a piece of chipboard or a chipboard set from Dusty Attic that I picked up over from MK's shop. It is in the chipboard section of the shop if this is something that you're interested in. I believe it's called Small Waves or something to that effect. But I thought I would go ahead and start preparing that because I know I want to use it on this layout. I just don't know exactly how it's going to get used, but I know I'm not going to leave it raw. So what I'm doing is I'm using some heavy gesso. This is from Finnabair. It's their Art Basics heavy gesso, and I am just using a sponge dauber and tapping it on to the chipboard there. And then when I'm done with the sponge dauber, I just stick it in my little paint cup. That's a collapsible cup that I've had for, I don't know, a very long time. And so I use it to just hold water for my watercoloring or painting or whatever. And so I just dropped the spray or the foam in there so it stays wet until I can wash it out, and then I can use the foam for something else later. Now I do have my spray box out and I am spraying all of the cut file pieces, well, all of the inside pieces. So the inside of the geotag and the inside of the heart, because there is a white border that goes around the outside of the geotag and a white border that goes around each one of those hearts. I am spraying them in Ahoy Matey, which is a Shimmerz product, and I am going to go through and add a little bit of Witch's Blue Shimmerz paint to it as well. I also have this color cast acrylic that I am using, and I wasn't really happy with the color of it. It was kind of a turquoise green, and it does have blue letters that go inside the part that says views, but the other part was all this really greenish turquoise. And so I decided to just give it a try and see if I could add some of the heavy gesso to that acrylic to see what it would do. And so I used the same technique of smooshing it on there. I put several layers, probably 4 or 5 layers on, just so that it kind of stays white. And now I am just brushing some shimmers over the top of it, and this is in the Beats Me color. And I really like that because it picks up that purpley pink that's in my background paper. That background mixed media paper is from Heidi Swap's Art Walk, and I love it. And it worked perfectly with these photos of Lake Michigan. So that's what I'm using it for. I am backing my photos with some paper. I think I'm going to change the color of this paper to be blue. We'll see here in a moment if that's what I actually did or not. And then I did take some of that Stickles Moondust gel and I put it right over the top of the blue hearts that are going back inside of the geotags there. So yes, I did use the Witch's Blue to go right over the outside of all of my photo mats to bring in that same color that is already on the geotags and in the background paper. And I'm really liking how that looks. This one I totally forgot to put the backer on, but I remember before it's dry, so I'll just pull it right back up and then I will stick it back down onto a piece of paper, and then I will go ahead and glue it onto this purpley paper. And this, I don't know what this paper is. It's not really paper. It's kind of like fabric. It's a little bit velvety, but it's not actual velvet fabric. It's kind of like got a weird plasticky feeling in the back, but it's kind of velvety on the top. And I think it is from SEI. And I've had it in my stash for ages. Now I pulled this ledger paper, which I believe is also a Heidi Swap paper. I think it's actually might be from her Set Sail collection. Oh, nope, it's from Sunchaser. You guys, sorry about that. It is from Sunchaser, which is a Heidi Swap collection, but it matches perfectly. And I just inked up the edges again with more of that Witch's Blue Shimmerz paint out of that little pot. and I am just tucking it into the edge here, or going off of the edge, I should say. And I'm really liking how that's looking. My two photos are just going to be stacked over on the right hand side. I like the way that looks as well. And then when it comes to my cut file, I want to split this cut file up, and so I am using the two outer pieces, which are the two smaller frameworks, outlines, and that's going to leave me with a large one with no little outline for it. So what I'm going to do with that large one is I'm going to stick it onto some paper, and I'm going to fussy cut around it to make it look like it has an outline. So we're going to trick the system. The washi tape I'm using, I think that is possibly also from Sun Chaser. I'm not 100% sure on that actually, but it is this lovely pinkish color that goes really well with what's in the background. And so I am tearing some of that off and tucking it on to my layout, but I am also tearing it horizontally so it has a straight edge and a ripped edge, and I like the way that that looks. So it's not 100% perfect with this background paper. The background paper is full of imperfection, and I think that's just a nice compliment to it. We don't want everything to be 100% perfect, I guess. And then I am using my acrylic blocks just to hold these geotags down while they the glue sets up, because I've painted them so they are a little bit warped and they don't want to lay 100% flat. They're not like super curved, but this way they'll get the best hold. And I don't have to fight with them or sit there and hold them. I am adding a little foam tape underneath the stars, not stars, hearts, and popping those up to give a little bit of lift. So those have that moon dust gel on it, which makes them sparkly. And I'm really liking the way that that looks. And then I am adding back the outline to each one of these little heart areas, also to give them a little bit of extra pop. I am going to also use the moon dust gel on top of those waves that I prepared right at the beginning, and that's going to give them some sparkle. And because they're kind of a fine line, it's not an overwhelming sparkle, but it is just enough to kind of catch your eye when the page moves, and I really like the way that it ends up looking. Now I am just using liquid glue to adhere the inner bits of these letters, but I did use a little bit of Zots or Zots Bling or glue dots in the mini size to hold down some of the pieces where it says Breathtaking, where it's thicker, and that way you can't see the little adhesive dots. Okay, so I'm just trying to figure out which one of these I want in which area. So I'm kind of playing around with them, and I'm liking the way that they're looking. I'm trying to figure out a place for this other larger geotag. It is going to go up here by the title, and this is where I went ahead and glued it down, and then I will fussy cut out the white portion around the outside. I went ahead and stuck the white piece in for the heart just because I want it to look exactly like the other ones. I don't want it to be kind of like the odd man out and have a recessed bit of white, even though the outside is going to be recessed more. I don't think you can tell. I think it looks okay, and it's not a big deal. Pretty happy with the way that that looks. You just have to be really, I guess, confident in your scissors skills, or maybe use some repositionable glue in case you don't do a good job of cutting around it the very first time. I don't know. And then again, playing with these little waves to figure out where I want each one. I'm just kind of looking at them over and over again and trying to decide for sure which one's going where, because I don't really want to put the Stickles gel on the ones that I'm not using, because I don't know what application I will use them for down the road. But I do want to use it on the ones that are going on here because I need them to take a little bit to dry before I can stick them down. Now I'm not putting a huge like layer after layer, a huge amount of this Stickles on there. It does take a little bit of time to dry, so I just put a little bit on there, enough to give it sparkle, and then I'm kind of like letting them just sit there and dry while I work on my title, or my subtitle, I should say. My title is Breathtaking Views. My subtitle my subtle. My subtitle down below will be just Lake Michigan, and I'm using these super shiny, sparkly Shimmerz glitter stickers, and these are from one of her old collections. And so I thought I'd go ahead and use those on here because they're just like the perfect match. And then that purple camera that you see there, that is actually from P13, and they had an entire paper full of cameras. You can see when in the upper left hand corner as well, that's a little bit larger. That's from the ephemera pack, but the smaller ones were printed on paper in like a grid. And so I decided to fussy cut out one of the smaller ones. I liked the size better in comparison to everything else on the page. So I went ahead and used that. And then I pulled out some more Sun Chaser, the Sun Chaser sticker pack from Heidi Swap, to pull out a couple of phrase stickers to stick over here above the photos. And I'm liking how that looks. It brings in a little bit more of the color of that pink because the writing's in pink. And then I am using some glue on the back of my hand to make sure these stickers for the subtitle stay down. There's not a lot of stick left to these, so I prefer to just stick a little glue on my hand, and then I can dip them in and tap them off. You could do it on a non-porous surface on your desk somewhere and tap them, but I find that if I do that, I usually set something in it, and then I have glue everywhere. If it's on the back of my hand, I'm 98% sure I'm not going to set anything on it, and it's right close to where I'm working because both my hands are sitting right there, so it's super convenient. Now I was going to put the dots for the eyes on, but they were too close to the lake, the word lake, because of the way I did it. I kind of gave them a wonky up and down kind of a look. So I took the dots for the eyes and some of the periods, and I'm going to use them in the other two embellishment areas to bring that sparkly pink to those areas, but I'm going to kind of use them and place them like I would a sequin or an enamel dot. So you'll see that in the close-ups. You'll see me placing them, but they're really hard to see because they're super tiny. You can see I'm putting the glue down for them right here, but I don't think you're going to get a really good glimpse of the shimmer and shine on them until you see the close-ups. So stick around for that. Added a little bit of foam tape behind that camera and just stuck that down to give it a little bit of extra lift. And I'm liking the way this is coming out, you guys. I've got a lot of room for some journaling here on the left-hand side of the screen. So I'm going to talk about our trip out to Wisconsin to visit my husband's cousin and one of our good friends that got married, and tell a little bit about our trip and our time spent with them. That is it, you guys. Thanks so much for watching. There you can see those little sparkle dots and that extra little phrase I added and the sparkle on the waves. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, I would love a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed, I would love for you to subscribe as well. Don't forget to go see what MK is doing on her channel today. I will be back again tomorrow with another video, and I'll see you then. Bye-bye.